want to make a couple announcements now that we're back to meeting in person. We are going to have a May 17th book club at Lena's house, Lena and Bob's house. The book is If a Tree Falls, A Family's Quest to Hear and Be Heard by Jennifer Rosen. We're also planning a summer party on June 18th, so mark your calendars. We'll give you some more information, but we're bringing back the summer party, so that should be good. Okay, I know there are some candidates and elected officials here. If you could just stand up, your name and what you're running for.
I can go first. Hi everybody, my name is Cassandra Garcia Hernandez and I'm a candidate running for state representative of House District 70, which is in Collin County. And I live here in the city of Dallas. Thank you so much.
Okay, I know Tina, yeah.
Hi, my name is Tina Clinton. I'm the presiding judge of Criminal District Court number 1, and I'm done this cycle, but I just came out to support and to see everyone back in person. It's great to see y'all.
Any other candidates or elected officials that I missed?
I'm here on behalf of Mahela Pisa. She's also running for Texas House District 70. She's very sorry she couldn't be here tonight, but I have literature for her if anyone wants it. Mahela Pisa.
She's an advisor to another event, so she'll...
Okay, welcome to tonight's candidate forum for Dallas County Commissioners Court number 2. Michelle Oker and Andrew Summerman were the top 2 vote getters in the March 1st Democratic primary and will face off in a runoff on May 24th. Early voting is May 16th to the 20th, and we're pleased to have both of the candidates with us tonight. Tonight's forum is being recorded. We will post it on the NDTDW YouTube channel as soon as possible, so if you have friends who might be interested in seeing this, please encourage them to go listen to it. Before we begin, let's go over a few ground rules. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to make an opening statement and 2 minutes for a closing statement. Answers to each question will be limited to 2 minutes. Our timekeeper will give a 30-second warning before time is up. We ask that you use your time to tell us about your views on each issue and refrain from referring to your opponent. At the end of our prepared questions and closing remarks, we will pose questions submitted by tonight's attendees. There are cards on each table. If you have a question you'd like to give to the candidates, write the question out. We'll collect them after the initial structured part of the forum, take a brief break to look through them, and then continue with audience questions. You know, pardon?
Here. I'm trying to look for this.
Okay.
All the way to the red.
So, without further ado, we will start with opening statements. Michelle, would you go first?
Hi, thank you for being here. My name is Michelle Oker. I really appreciate that we can be in person again. It's been very exciting. I am running for County Commissioner for District 2. I was the lead vote getter in the primary with 37% of the vote. I won by over 800 votes. So a little bit about me and my background. I'm actually an 8th generation Texan, which means my family got here back when it was the Republic of Texas. We were farmers, we've been farmers forever, and I broke that chain and went to law school and I became a lawyer. I understand we have somebody here from the Bay Area too. There you go, I went to Stanford. So I know the cost of living in California, and I got back to Texas as soon as possible. I worked for the Obama Justice Department right after I got out of law school, initially in Washington, D.C., but then I didn't make it back here to Dallas. You kind of had to apply to get back to Texas. And I really enjoyed my time. But I decided it was time to move on. I became a solo practitioner, which meant I just worked for myself. I actually started on my kitchen table with a laptop and my tax refund. And with my first case, I bought a printer, and it was an inkjet at the time. I'm pretty sure they don't make those anymore. And I started doing veterans benefits and senior care. So to help, especially senior veterans, pay for long-term care, because I saw how, even with my own grandfather, the last, I think it's 90 days, take up almost everybody's savings. So I really wanted to get in and help people, and that's what I've continued to do in politics as a precinct chair, an election judge, campaigning for various candidates, and now leading into the runoff for County Commissioner District 2. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Michelle. Now we'll hear from Andrew.
How you doing? My name is Andy Summerman. I'm an attorney here in Dallas, Texas, and I've been doing voter protection work for a number of years now. Before I became an attorney, should I wait for you? You good? Keep going? All right, good. All right, fair enough. That's all right. Before I was an attorney, I did many other things. Like, for example, I was an assistant city manager for the town of Pantego. When I was the assistant city manager of the town of Pantego, I had to do several things, like find revenue for the city that did not, at that time, come into the coffers. The way that I was able to accomplish that task was to be able to go through each one of the tax rolls that we have, as the sales tax rolls, and find where people were misidentifying themselves as being in the city that I worked for. In fact, they thought they were in Arlington and they should have been in the town of Pantego. By able to get those people to start putting their revenue exactly where it belongs, we were able to increase revenue by several fold. We went from one of the poorest towns to one of the richest towns because I was able to find the revenue for that particular city. Now, after that, I was a congressional investigator. I did work for Congress. I was the one who would go in and try and find and root out corruption and inefficiencies within the government itself. Since that time, I've been a voter protection attorney. What I've been doing is things like voter ID. I was one of the attorneys who fought voter ID. And if you don't know, voter ID has to do with women. Because when a woman marries and chooses to change her name, or divorces and chooses to change her name, you drop off the voter rolls. Now, this significantly affected a number of elections throughout the state because women vote more Democratic than they do Republican. And as a result, many of the elections were changed. This is something that I fought. I am also the current attorney for the Mexican American Legislative Caucus, and I am fighting redistricting within the state. I've also received a number of endorsements. These are all of the groups that have currently endorsed me. And as you can see, there are almost all of the major groups within Dallas County who do endorsements. And I've also been endorsed by a number of individuals, not the least of which is Tom Irvin, who was my former opponent in this particular race. I hope for your vote. Thank you very much.
Okay, now we'll start with the question and answer portion of it. The first 3 questions are going to be different for each candidate based on information they had on their websites or have said in places. And then the last 4 questions will be the same for both of them. Okay, so we're going to, we'll start first with Andrew, and then we'll go to Michelle and let her go. Anyway. As a voter protection attorney with an understanding of election laws, what would you do as a member of the Commissioner's Court to oppose GOP voter suppression?
Yeah. Okay, so thank you. It is essential that we are able to turn out votes and be able to have people to vote. They have illegalized almost everything that we could do in order to increase voter participation. We can fight these things, and there are a number of ways of accomplishing that task. Not the least of which is to make sure that the elections are run in an appropriate fashion. Let me tell you what I mean by that. I was just talking to someone else here about this very issue, and it goes like this. Currently, if you are a elections judge and you make a mistake, you can be criminally prosecuted for that. We're going to put people in jail for mistakes that are made in an election booth. This should not be the way it is. We have to make sure that these elections are run and run appropriately. How do we do that? We do that by making sure that we identify each of the elections officials as members of the county government, employees of the county government. And if they are sued or prosecutions are brought against them that are erroneous, then we as the county must defend them. We must defend democracy. This is the way that we can accomplish that task. Now, there are a number of other things that we can do to increase voter participation. Now, there are a number of ways. For example, when you do a mail-out ballot, you're supposed to be able to identify yourself by using one of two numbers that you were supposed to remember back when you were very, very young. I mean, it can't be done. And so as a result, we must inform people as the county to say, put both numbers on so that you can get your mail-in ballot. We had so many people be refused mail-in ballots as a result of this number kerfuffle that we have along those lines. If you put me in, I assure you as your elections attorney, I will make sure that all these tasks are accomplished. Thank you very much.
Okay, Michelle, can you tell us about your work as a special commissioner? What does that entail?
Oh, that's actually a great question. Again, I'm Michelle Oker. My work as a special commissioner is something I'm actually really, really proud of. We elected 4 years ago Judge Paula Rosales to County Court number 4. She was really good at making sure that appointments came out of the community at large and not just the same usual suspects over and over again. And she has continuously and repeatedly appointed me as a special commissioner. What happens is when a government entity wants to take somebody's land and they use what's called eminent domain, the Supreme Court said they can do it, the landowner says, hey, you're not offering me enough money. They can go to court, and the court appoints special commissioners. Because of my work with appraisals and in the past in the government and doing a lot of appraisals of land, she appointed me to where I look at information from the landowner as well as information from the government and reconcile the two and decide how to fairly and appropriately recompense that landowner. Because at the end of the day, their property is being taken by force. I mean, that's literally what it is. And I think it's really important to protect landowners, protect taxpayers, and to make sure that the government is not overreaching, that they're not taking more land than what's necessary, and that they're giving money to people. I mean, we're talking about generational wealth. I think we've heard that black families, because they were denied FHA loans, were unable to get homes the same rate as white families did, and how that has impacted generational wealth. And that is something I have really appreciated about being a special commissioner, is making sure that we're not taking land for too little money and impacting how this is going to affect landowners in our county, because it has to be Dallas County, who may not be able to now pass something on to their children. If we take it for pennies on the dollar, we're taking their wealth. And a lot of people's wealth is tied in their home. It's an appreciating value. I can tell you this right now. She's telling me to stop, but believe me, I could go on and on because I love the work. So thank you so much.
Okay, we're going to alternate the order on questions, so Michelle, you're up again, and then,
Okay, good. Nope,
Yeah.
thank you.
try to mix it all up.
Yeah, good.
Okay, Michelle, can you give us some examples of how you fought for the rights of employees, seniors, and veterans during your career?
Oh, yes. Yes, I'm very excited about this. She's gonna have to wave the stop thing because I'm probably gonna keep going and keep going and keep going. I'll just start with my biggest case I've ever had in my life. Once again, starting on my kitchen table. I had an employee come in and she was upset because she said she had been sexually harassed. And I took the sexual harassment case when nobody else would. And I went to another attorney and he said, actually, she's being denied her overtime. She was getting paid $900 every 2 weeks for working 70, 80 hours a week. He said, that's illegal, you can't do that. So when I filed her paperwork with the EEOC for sexual harassment, it came back and that company actually was in 48 different states. She didn't realize that she worked for a housekeeping company that went into senior living homes all over the United States. I took them to court. I found the attorney who could fund it, and we got back overtime for 2,000 people all over the United States. We got back 100% of their overtime, and the judge approved it. I got paid in stock, and it never agreed to get paid in stock. I came from Stanford. I thought I'd get in on the ground floor. It was not a good thing. It was not a good thing. But I got paid in stock so that my employees, so my clients could get more money. That's how I got them more money, was to take a pay cut myself. Over 2,000 people. Ever since then, I've continued to do it, and at this point, I've gotten over $10 million for people. I've also, for veterans, I am accredited by the Veterans Attorney, by Veterans Affairs, so I am admitted to the Court of Appeals for veteran claims. When veterans are denied their benefits, they can get an attorney. We have to work on contingency, and we have to get paid less than most attorneys. Most attorneys take 40, 50%. I could only take 20%. I've gotten over $5 million in government benefits for my clients who were wrongly denied their VA disability. They were earned benefits for fighting for us, and I fought for them. Thank you so much.
Okay, before you're up, Andrew, can we get 2 of those waters up here for the candidates who are talking, please? Because it's a little warm in here, and I don't know if we can turn down the temperature at all.
Yeah, and are you paid your overtime?
Thank you so much. They're the ones that have to talk all the time, so. Okay, so Andrew, can you give us some examples of how you have worked with County Judge Clay Jenkins to keep citizens safe from COVID and crime, as well as protecting citizens at the ballot box?
Sure, happy to do so. First of all, with regard to my litigation for Clay Jenkins, as many of you may know, the Republican who presently holds this office is J.J. Koch. Mr. Koch decided to come to a meeting without his mask on, in the height of COVID. He had in his hand a cup of coffee. He has very carefully identified it as a blonde that he had in his hands. The reason why the coffee is so important is because he admits that when he went into the coffee shop to buy the cup of coffee, he was wearing a mask. But when he came into the Commissioner's Court, which had very specific rules that you must wear a mask while you're in the Commissioner's Court, he refused to wear it. I think he was citing some constitutional right to inadvertently spit on people. I'm not sure what his position is. But it was nothing more than political theater. He had initiated this to do nothing but inflame his base, to be able to say, look at me, I'm the one who is fighting against mask mandates. Well, when that happened, Judge Clay Jenkins hired me and my law firm to assist in helping him in that litigation. Because you see, J.J. Koch had sued Clay Jenkins because he had had him tossed from that particular meeting. Now, we brought that cause of action. We defeated J.J. Koch in the trial court, and then later he appealed that matter into the Dallas Court of Appeals, and we prevailed there as well. Now, I've already told you a little bit about some of the other litigation that I've been involved with, not the least of which was the voter ID. But we're also currently involved in the Mexican-American Legislative Caucus's legal fight against the Republican administration for their illegal way they redistricted the state of Texas. You see, there's a rule. One of the rules are that if you can put as many House districts and Senate districts within a single county. They didn't do that. There are House districts that run from 3 different counties for no apparent reason. We fight that. We are currently fight that. We will prevail. Thank you.
Okay, now Andrew, you're up and down.
Thank you. No, I'm getting right.
How do you propose to work with the Dallas County Elections Department to make sure everyone who is registered to vote can vote?
Yeah. Okay. So you have to be able to do that. I mean, come on. The easy way to do this is severalfold. First of all, we have to fund the elections department. We have to have people within the elections department running this department in the most professional manner that you can imagine. Now, the way that we accomplish that task is to have a group that does nothing more than make sure that we audit and evaluate the elections department to make sure that it is running in a cost-efficient and in the best way that it can possibly run. Now, this, of course, has a reverberating effect. It can make sure that people who want to vote can vote. Now, how do we accomplish that task? First of all, we have to make sure that people are getting their mail-in ballots. There are so many people who cannot show to the ballot box, but who want to vote. A good example of that is my father, who lives in the district. He wants to vote. He's 88 years old. He lives in a wheelchair. It's very challenging for him to get to any voting location whatsoever. But you know what? He can't understand what it is that they need in order to give him a mail-in ballot. What number is it that they want? They want my social security number? No, they just want the last four. They want my driver's license number? Yes, they do. Well, which one do they want? The answer is both. Because that's the only way that I can assure you, Dad, that you're going to be able to get to vote in this coming election. And sure enough, we got it for him. You know, he's going to have that mail-in ballot. But we have to fight for these things in order to make sure they accomplish. Let me tell you something else. Harris County did a nice job of coming up with innovative ways to make sure that ballots got to people. And then the Republican administration came back and basically illegalized everything that they did.
Yeah.
But that's not the end of ideas. There are a number of other ideas that we can use to make sure that ballots get in the hands of everyone who wants to vote. And the person who can accomplish that task is your elections lawyer, who understands each one of those elections laws. I'd get more specific, but I got a stop sign. Thank you very much.
Okay, Michelle, you have indicated that COVID
Oh, I thought I
recovery.
got the same question.
Huh? Not this one.
Oh, okay.
After this one, you get the same questions. Three different and four the same. Okay. Michelle, you have stated that COVID recovery is the most important issue for the next 5 years. How will you prioritize other pressing issues facing our community, such as lack of affordable housing, overcrowding and mental issues in our jails, and voting issues?
All right. In 2 minutes, we will solve the universe. All right. I really appreciate this question. Affordable housing has become definitely an issue, which is why I'm absolutely very proud to have the endorsement of Candace Valenzuela, who is now Biden's appointed regional administrator for HUD. She did endorse me the week before she got sworn in, because as a former Justice Department lawyer, I understand that federal law, you gotta work around it. So I was endorsed right before she took office, because she's not allowed to endorse in office. I'm gonna work really closely with her to make sure that we are going to get the resources we need here in Dallas County for affordable housing. I ran for city council in Carrollton, and there became a sharp divide between people who were wanting more multifamily homes, who wanted to build basically up to have condos and townhomes, and more community-focused walkable areas, and people who solely wanted subdivisions. And I kind of came out into the condo and the walkable areas in the places that you can still have ownership. We're still taxing condo owners. You're still an owner. You're still paying property taxes. But it is more affordable for people to come in. We don't have the land to just keep building subdivisions over and over. So we need affordable housing that's also walkable spaces, that also has the businesses and such in them, which is part of COVID relief. You'll see in downtown Carrollton, we've revitalized the businesses down there by building more walkable spaces that are on the Dart line, to build up along the Silver line. The Silver line's going in, I know, because I drive past it every day in a very short line of people trying to get through it, to make sure that we're utilizing those spaces to have affordable housing. The two other questions are really great, but I cannot get to them in 2 minutes, so thank you so much.
Okay. Now we do the ones where you get the same question and you both get to answer,
If
okay?
anybody has questions that they want to make, I'm going to be picking up the cards that anybody might have written questions on. Anybody else? If
You can
have
still
one,
keep
just-
going, we've got 4 questions to go.
Yeah, just wave your hand and I'll pick it up.
Okay. Michelle will start us off on this one, but the question is, and if either of you ever want me to repeat the question before you go second, just let me know. An important function of the Commissioners Court is to adopt the county's budget and tax rate. How would you prioritize spending to address needs in Dallas County?
Alright. Thank you so very much. So, we're discussing the budget and the tax rate. This is something I think we're all thinking about, because if you're like me, you got your appraisal in the mail. And it probably went up by a lot. So one of the things I discussed in my Dallas Morning News interview was that I believe in lowering the tax rate to make sure that when appraisals go up, we are not taxing people out of their homes. It's called an effective tax rate. Judge Clay Jenkins put all over Facebook and social media that that's what he would like to do also. That is something I've believed in for a very long time, that if your tax bill goes up, it's a tax increase. So even if you keep the rate the same, for example, if we kept the rate the same, my taxes would go up by more than 10%, even with homestead exemptions. So I think it's really important to make sure that we are adopting a budget that allows us to lower the tax rate and make sure we're not going over growth. I did almost the same exact thing prioritizing when I was on my homeowners association board. In a condo, it's very important to work with everyone to get consensus. We had not had an increase in over 10 years. Our landscaping was terrible. There was mud everywhere. There were huge potholes in the parking lot. But I didn't want to do a special assessment, which means a one-time payment for people. I said, we have seniors, they're on fixed income. You're not getting more than your Social Security cost of living, which is never as high as inflation. So I implemented a way where we could go, we did 2% a year, and we used our reserves to build up our landscaping. And where it used to be that people almost couldn't sell their condos, it's now one of the fastest growing places in our area, because it is so much more beautiful than it was, and we didn't have to do a large increase all at once to pay for past failure to maintain. So those are the values I would bring to Commissioners Court to make sure that we're not shocking people in the pocketbook by trying to implement a bunch of things and not lowering the tax rate. Okay, I don't know if I have 30 seconds or if I stopped. Okay, I stopped. Thank you so much.
Do you want me to repeat the question?
If you would.
Okay. An important function of the Commissioners Court is to adopt the county's budget and tax rate. How would you prioritize spending to address needs in Dallas County?
Okay, I'm going to talk about taxes, then I'm going to talk about spending. Now let me do it the other way around. Let's talk about spending first. The things that we must spend money on in the county is first on elections. We have to make sure our elections department is being run properly and that it is properly funded. Why is that? Well, it's just our democracy. That's all that we're talking about. The second thing that we have to be worried about is the environment, because we're only talking about the end of the world if we're talking about our environment. These are the two most important things that we have to focus on with regard to the county. The third most important thing that we have to focus on, healthcare, especially mental health care. We have to make sure that people who are suffering, who are homeless, who need a little help in terms of their mental health care is being properly provided for by Parkland Hospital. Now let me address the tax rate. Now, when you get your bill, here's how it works. Your home is evaluated at, and I'm making it up, $500,000. Now, the Dallas County rate is .2227946 right now, okay? Now, this really doesn't matter. What really matters is the bill, isn't it? Now, if this goes up and this stays the same, you're going to be taxed a heck of a lot more. So how do we solve that problem? We have to decrease this rate. Now, I don't know where you all live, but let me let you know that Dallas County is a pretty good deal. And I'll tell you why. Because it's only 0.22. Let's compare that, for example, to schools, which is 1.20. Let's compare it to your cities like Carrollton, Richardson, and Dallas, which are 58, 61, and 78 each. Now, so how do we do it? We do decrease this amount. But you know what's really, really important is that we have equity in terms of who we are taxing. Because it is the smaller houses, those that are worth between $0 and $500,000, that the values have increased more dramatically than in houses that are worth $2 million. So that means the poor will pay disproportionately because of increased property values, and that isn't right. Thank you.
Okay, again, it's going to be the same question for two, but Andrew will go first this time.
Thank you.
What would be your top 3 priorities if you are elected to the Commissioners Court?
I think you already heard me about the elections department, didn't you? All right, good. Now let me talk, that's first, okay? Let me talk to you a little bit about bail reform, okay? There's been a recent decision, and it has come out of the Fifth Circuit, and it basically was decided on what's called standing. Did the proper parties sue each other? But the underlying basis, the underlying thought behind that case was this. Our bail system is broken and it's unconstitutional. That's what it said.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't a matter of should we revise our bail system. This is a matter of when are we going to revise our bail system. And my system that I would propose to you is the New Jersey system. It broke my tongue to say I want the New Jersey system. But it's tried and true is the reason why I like it. We can be perfecters of something that was innovated about in New Jersey. The entire state adopted it. And you know what they did? They basically eliminated bail. Because it doesn't make any sense that someone is released or kept based upon their ability to pay. That's nonsense. That doesn't create safety in this county. Let me give you a good example. There's a homeless man. He broke a window. Why? Because he's not mentally caring for himself. His bail is set at $50. Can he pay it? No. Is he in jail? Yes. If we gave him some meds and took care of his health care, he's not a danger. But he's in jail, costing us a fortune in jail. Meanwhile, there's a drug dealer. His bail is set at $1 million, but he pays it. He's able to pay it. And he is a risk to the community. And he is out. That's stupid. That's not the way it should be run. It should be based upon one thing and one thing only, the risk to society. So as a result, I would eliminate bail. I'm not going to open up the jails. I wouldn't even suggest it. My Republican opponent has said I said it, and I've said 1,000,000 times I will never do that. What we have to do is do the exact opposite of that. Keep those who are dangerous, release those who are not. Our jail population will decrease, your taxes will go down, we'll give them good mental health, and we will not return those people to the system. Put me in, coach, give me the ball. Thank you.
Okay, Michelle, what would your top 3 priorities be if you are elected to the Commissioners Court?
All right. I actually went over them last time as part of COVID relief. It was pretty much 2 years and it was very difficult. We've got backed up courts, civil and criminal, where people are being denied their constitutional right to a trial. It's a right. It's in there, not just criminal, but civil too. We need to make sure that we're giving the court system the technology and everything that they need to people who maybe have not been able to post bail. The best way to get them out is to give them a trial. So if we make sure that people are getting their trials quickly, it will be really important. There's a lot of innovative methods out there. Lots of different counties have done things to make sure that we are protecting the Constitution. Another part of the COVID relief is obviously, we've talked about it, the tax rate, and making sure that just because your house goes up doesn't mean you're hit in the pocketbook. Like I said, the affordable housing with the walkable spaces, especially around transit being my third issue, will help us create ways of integrating DART, housing, and businesses all together where we can attract people from other places to come in and be attractive to young families, be attractive to businesses who want to come in, who want these walkable spaces where we can have patios, and we can have bars, we can have grocery stores next to bars with people living there, owning property, and being in a transit-oriented space where they can hop on the silver line, they can hop on the red line, they can hop on the green line, and get where they need to go without necessarily congesting our roads, which we also need to fix. So you build all these things together all at once, you've lowered traffic, you've lowered taxes, and you've made us an incredibly attractive place to live. Thank you.
Okay, so Michelle, you're going to go first this time on the next question. What makes you more qualified than your opponent in this race? What specific skills do you possess that would make you an effective commissioner? And we want to hear about what your strengths are, not what your opponent's weaknesses are.
All right. Well, I guess I went first because I had to stand up quickly because that's a hot seat. So everybody's going to look at qualifications differently. So I'm just going to talk about my qualifications. I have made tough decisions about how to increase like assessments, which are like taxes, because you have to pay them or you lose your house, on the citizens of who I live with, my neighbors. I had to decide, how are we going to balance both keeping our area beautiful and making it attractive while also maintaining affordability and looking out for our seniors who aren't getting cost of living increases. And I was able to balance that. I was actually able in our community to get high-speed internet at no additional cost to our members. I had to get agreement from all 54 homeowners, a unanimous agreement, in order for us to run in a fiber optic cable. And I did it. And I sat home and I got people's keys and I went in and I watched those people who came in for safety reasons. And I built consensus, which is something I've done on the Commissioner's Court as well. Not the Commissioner's Court, foreshadowing. As a special commissioner. When I'm appointed special commissioners, there's actually 3 of us who get appointed, and you have to have 2 votes to get what you need. Every single time I've sat, I've gotten a unanimous vote. Not because we all went in agreeing, but because we all came out agreeing. That's the level of cooperation, of working with others, including other counties, to make sure that we're working together for the common goal. And that's my qualifications that I bring. Thank you.
Please.
What makes you more qualified than your opponent in this race? What specific skills do you possess that would make you an effective commissioner? We want to hear about your strengths, not your opponent's weaknesses.
Thank you. So if you're looking for somebody with government experience, it's me. You see, I used to be the assistant city manager for the town of Pantego, which is located in Arlington, Texas. I did several things while I was there. The first one you've already heard about, me trying to get tax revenue into the city. Now I can bring that experience with me. The second thing that I have experience in is being a congressional investigator. Now, when I worked for Congress, it was my job to make sure that government was being run in an economic fashion. And we were also the ones making sure that there wasn't any fraud within the government itself as well. Now, that's a level of experience that I have that I can bring to the Commissioner's Court and make sure that the government, the county government, is being run efficiently, effectively, and that we have the capacity and the capability of making sure that all the revenue that we can possibly get come to the county that needs to come to the county. I can give you a good example of one of the things that we need to accomplish in order to fix the problems of the county itself. Let's talk a little bit about Parkland Hospital. I think Parkland's great. I think we absolutely have to have it. We need to, as we said, increase mental health. But if you go 2 miles north of here, you're in Collin County. And if you're a resident of Collin County and you come to Dallas into Parkland Hospital, they will treat you. And they should. Let me be clear. I'm not suggesting that we turn them away. But who's paying the bill? You are. The Dallas County residents are. Now, how do we fix that problem? My litigation experience will tell you that I can fix this problem. We need to have a cause of action against the surrounding counties, not Tarrant County, they do have a county hospital, but Collin County, Denton County, Kaufman County, Ellis County, all these people are using the services of Parkland Hospital and are not paying the bill. There is a doctrine, it's called quantum meruit. It means you're getting the benefit without paying for it. We need to make sure that they pay their fair share for the services that are being rendered at Parkland Hospital. I bring that experience for you. Thank you.
Okay, the next question is a little bit of fun, and Andrew will go first.
Oh, fun, good.
Dallas County is home to many fun festivals and special events. What is your favorite Dallas event and why?
Favorite?
Yeah, see, you weren't expecting that.
No, I wasn't. Yeah, I am a member of the Arboretum, and I must admit that I love going to the Arboretum, and I go almost every weekend with my wife. By the way, this is my wife, Rachel, and that's my stepson. His name is Christopher, and that is our surprise baby right there. Her name is Elizabeth. But we go to the Arboretum every weekend, and we love the events and the festivals that are at each one of those locations. I love the art festivals, and let me tell you why I love the Dallas Art Festival. The reason why I like it so much is because we need more art in the county. I don't know if you've ever been up to Chicago, but they have requirements that there's art that exists in each one of the buildings, that art exists at all the locations you could possibly imagine. This is something else that our county needs to enforce, is to say, if you are building within our county, you must provide art. Because if we don't make this county beautiful, and think about the attraction. People go to Chicago for no other reason than to see a bean. Are you kidding me? A bean. And I think our eyeball is better than that. Come on. But still, nonetheless, we need art. And the only way that we can attract people and therefore bring in the revenue into this county is by one way, making it an attractive place to be, and we can do so with art. Thank you very much.
Okay, Michelle, what is your favorite Dallas event and why?
All right, so I'm from the suburbs. I live in Carrollton, so I'm going to assume this is Dallas County event.
That's fine.
Yeah. So first of all, the state fair, but I feel like that's low-hanging fruit. So I'm going to go with. I absolutely love our Easter egg hunt in Carrollton. Every year, I donate baskets to give to the kids because there's 3 age groups who get to go on the square. We have a historic square, and they go and they do an egg hunt. And it's hilarious because we just take the eggs and like put them on the yard for the little tiny ones, and they like waddle over and pick it up. And it's the most adorable thing, and the sense of community that we get every single time from watching it, I always absolutely love. They get a little piece of paper that says you can go get your prize at the gazebo, and then I get it up there and I get to give them their baskets, and they're just so excited and so happy. So that's the event that I attend every year, that because it's like right down the street from me, is actually one of my favorite events. And I think most people in here know this, but I'm actually Jewish. So I don't always know when Easter is happening. This year it coincided with Passover, so I had the Seder Friday night. I had 4 cups of very low alcohol wine, woke up in the morning and went and gave out Easter eggs. So that's cross-cultural communication, but it's very fun. One of the things I think we're going to improve on next year is I've noticed there's a lot of kids, it's overly stimulating for them because it's a square, like all 4 sides rushing at once. So one of the things I've talked about with the organizers is in the future making sure that we have a separate space for people who maybe are artistic or have more sensory issues, so that we can make sure that they're being included too. I have to stop, but I just love all the kids. Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to end the pre-programmed part of our program with closing statements by each candidate. Then we're going to take a short break to look at your questions. If you want to write a question, please write it out. We'll look at it over the short break. And then we'll come back, and if the candidates are willing, hopefully they'll answer questions from the audience. Thank you. So, Andrew, you go first.
Thank you. 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I have the experience that I bring to the county. I can be the person who can find the revenue that we need in order to accomplish this task. I intend to decrease our costs because I'm going to find revenue outside this county and be able to bring it back into Dallas County and pay for things like Parkland Hospital. I will make sure that the tax rate is kept steady so that you're paying only what you need to pay in order to satisfy the budget that we had last year, and that's it. We have to have a tax rate that doesn't balloon because your property values increase because you live in a great county that happens to have great real estate markets associated with it. It is already burdensome to be able to pay the property taxes every year that you have, and we must keep them at a steady rate. I also have the experience to be able to administrate and run this county, because that's what we're doing. We're running a county that has a $1.6 billion budget. We have to have serious people in there. My Republican opponent is apparently running for kindergarten bully, is what he is running for. He does nothing but insult and call names and does dramatic things in order to get political attention from his base. I don't know if you know this or not, but when he was running 4 years ago against a primary opponent, he got into a shoving match into a parking lot with his Republican opponent like it was a kindergarten playground. And then this year he has called everybody else an insulting name that you could possibly imagine. Clay Jenkins he calls Howdy Doody, the Worm, and other just incredibly insulting things. He is running for kindergarten bully. I am running for county commissioner. Put the adult in. Put me in, please. Thank you.
Okay, Michelle?
All right. I took notes. So I got into the first part about who I am and what my background is. I do want to mention my endorsements and my closing and why I got these endorsements and why they mean so much to me. My first endorsement is the Muslim Democratic Caucus of Texas. A lot of people don't know this, but every year since 2018, I have given 2 scholarships to the Muslim community, one for a boy, one for a girl, based solely on leadership. Most people end up going right here in Richardson to college, but it's $1,000 each. I was struggling in school, and I know how important it is to get leadership scholarships. When I went to A&M, I came out with more scholarships than I went in with. I believe in the Aggie spirit, I believe in leadership, and I pay it forward. The second one is the Muslim American Lawyers Association. They actually went through my entire, Mexican American Lawyers Association. They went through my entire legal history. Everything I've done, I had to upload a CV. It was 7 pages of a questionnaire. And when they came out, these are other lawyers saying, she's the one that we pick. I've talked about Candace Valenzuela. She is now currently Biden's appointed Regional Director of HUD. She was also our local school board member. She was the first ever Black and Latina school board member for Carrollton Farmers Branch ISD, and I worked very hard for her campaign. I knocked on a lot of doors. I have pictures of the blisters that I got. We have a very good relationship. I'm really looking forward to working with her as county commissioner. I'll go through the others quickly. Women win, vote for her. And then I also have quite a few former school board members because I have been a big proponent of public education and making sure that we have the backs of these school board members as they are now under attack. I think we've seen the resignations of the superintendents here locally and school board members because they're not just figuratively under attack, they are literally under attack. And this is something as county commissioner, I will make sure that we put resources towards in our full weight of the county to back education and to back educators. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to take like a short break, 5 minutes or so. I'm going to read over these questions. Does anybody have a question they want to put in? Anybody else? Okay, so if you need a bathroom break or something, go now, go quick, and we'll be back.
And in the meantime, I'm going to make a few announcements. As Carol mentioned, we are going to start our book club back in person. Book club. We have a great book club. And we're gonna start it back in person this next month. And it's with a tree falls, something like that, yes. And, you know, Coda won the Academy Award, and this is basically a book about hearing.
It's If a Tree Falls, A Family's Quest to Hear and Be Heard by Jennifer Rosen.
And it's got excellent reviews. Also, we're going to have our summer party, and that will be, once again, at Bob's at my house on the June the 18th. And we will be providing, as always, the main course of probably brisket or something like that, and then a vegan or vegetarian entree as well. Then we ask you to bring either an hors d'oeuvre, a salad, or a side dish, or dessert, based upon your name. And all of this is on our website. Our website has been updated recently. It's NDTDW.com. So it's easy to find, and as long as you can remember NDTDW, North Dallas, Texas Democratic Women. I can say it in my sleep. And if you're interested in joining our club, our dues start at $45, but we can take more of your money if you like. And people say, well, what do you get? And you said, you just love us more. So. In the past, we have been able to donate a lot of money to candidates. We are hoping to go back and have a fundraiser this year before the November elections. We will see what happens and how, whether we can get the site and the people that we want to honor. It's called the Women's Warrior Award, Women Warriors Award. One of those things. Anyway, so we've always had a really good turnout. We held it at the Lakewood Country Club, which is convenient to people downtown since it's usually during the week. That way, people that work downtown can come at their lunch hour. So I hope you all will think about that. NDTDW, we're celebrating our 20th year this year. So we've been around a long time. And Carol and I have been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, you're getting tired of seeing us.
And every time we get somebody primed to come into the leadership, they move or something, one of them's in England. What can you do about that? But so we have gotten quite a few new members this year. So that's good, and we're hoping now that we're back in person, we can motivate people to get involved and to support candidates and to work elections and all that stuff that really means something in our democracy. So anyway, and I'm Lena Webb, I'm the treasurer. So. I'll take your money. I have applications in the back. So anyway, and we do have one of our new members here tonight. So all right, thank you.
Oh, I understand there's another candidate here? Two, okay. Introduce yourself and what you're running for.
Hi, I'm Monique Bracy Huff. I'm running for judge of Dallas County Criminal Court number 10. It is a specialty court in that it is a family violence court. I am in a runoff election, so like those that are up here speaking today, please make sure you make a plan to come to the polls May the 16th through May the 20th, or on election day, May the 24th. Every vote counts. Not that many people come back for runoff elections, so you coming will make a difference. You bringing at least 2 or 3 people with you will make a difference, because every vote will count. Thank you.
Hello, hi, I'm Ira O'Meara, and I'm running for congressional seat number 4 against Pat Dallin in Northeast Texas. I'm a former educator. I was born and raised in this, actually in Dallas. I went to school at Richardson High School, and I've been here like all my life. So this is where this is my home. So I'm happy to be here, and thank you all for having me.
Okay. Are you ready to answer a few more questions?
Sure.
Okay. Why don't you take this one first, Andrew, and then
Sure.
Michelle? Okay, what do you think is the priority you would set as a commissioner if elected with regard to the criminal courts, criminal justice, and why?
Okay, so it would be bail reform. That would be my number one most important thing. The second most important thing with regard to the criminal court system is to make sure that we give judges a helping hand now. There's been COVID. There has been limited trials during that time period because we could not put 12 people in a room together. Now we have a backlog of cases. What can we do? We can hire retired judges to come be visiting judges. We need that help, and we need to make sure that that help comes, and it comes now. And then we also have to increase by just a small amount the public defender's pay. And I'll tell you why. Because they're dealing with people's liberty interests, and they're getting paid perhaps the worst attorneys in terms of pay in the entire system of lawyers. And so as a result, we do need to increase the amount of pay that they get. So it's bail reform, help the judges, help the lawyers, and then finally, let's try and do something about the jail system that we have in place. We have to fix that problem, and I have a plan for it. That plan comes in this way. We do not have enough people who work in the jails. We don't. There's not enough people there. If you want to talk about a tough job, dear Lord, they've got a tough job. So what do we do to try and increase the number of people in that job? The answer is not dissimilar from when I was growing up and we had the ROTC program, where you paid part of the way for college, and then you say, you must come work for me for a period of time. And I believe that that's the best system we have. We have great colleges all around us. UTA, UNT, SMU. SMU might be a little expensive, but UTD. These places that are right here, UD, UTD, all these places have relatively inexpensive colleges that we can pay part of their college in return for them coming to work as jailers. We need to fix the problem. Thank you.
Michelle, do you want me to read the question again?
Yeah, if you could repeat it again, please.
What do you think is the priority you would set as a commissioner if elected with regard to the criminal courts, criminal justice, and why?
All right, here we go. Criminal courts and criminal justice. I've reached on it before, but our courts have to get moving again. We got backed up during COVID. It was very difficult. The federal courts actually did try to keep some semblance of of keeping criminal trials moving, it resulted in people getting COVID. It was up in Sherman. That's what I work up there a lot too. So it's going to be difficult. Just getting them started, just to get them started, is not a great thing. However, there's more outdoor open public spaces we can get it. Studies have actually shown that sometimes virtual trials will have people show up who are younger, who are more diverse, who will typically be more liberal leaning because they don't have to leave work to come all the way downtown. I know where I live, coming downtown is a trek. It is very difficult, especially if you're relying on the DART system to show up and sit all day to be on a jury. If people agree to it, we can do virtual trials. They've done it in Collin County and they're doing it everywhere to good results. Also, the jail needs to be reformed. There's been so many Dallas Morning News articles about jail reform that we need to do that. As far as getting more jailers, I think just allowing perks that we call them perks, they should just be regular payments to people who work for the county. Childcare is a huge thing during COVID. I mean, people forget we have female employees and that male employees also need childcare. As people have been more isolated from their families, as people have, the schools started and stopped, but even with schools back, providing childcare for our county employees is something we can actually do to help attract employees and keep them there without requiring them to say, hey, you have to pay back all of your tuition if you don't like this job for 2 years, 4 years, 8 years. Provide things that make people want to come here, have the carrot, not the stick. And I think people again and again and again are saying they need childcare. Thank you. A lot of the things always revolve around tax breaks and tax incentives too. But one of the things is we can discuss zoning, we can deal with roads. Counties deal with roads a lot. Potholes get fixed by the city, but the overall repaving of a road is actually done by the county. You'll even see some of these streets we go down are still called county road. Making sure that we're not putting all those resources into some areas and not areas where we want to build affordable housing will also make sure that we can get people to live there. We can provide tax incentives, we can provide building incentives, we can provide expedited permitting. We can do lots of things to make sure that if people are doing things that will allow housing to be more affordable, that we put the full weight of the government behind it. I know Clay Jenkins has talked about affordable housing that he is putting in that will have mixed units, where some people are getting rebates while others are paying full price. And that's something that as a county and a county initiative, I would be behind to make sure that we are getting people together and lifting everyone up. Thank you.
Okay, and how can the county government actually influence and advocate for affordable housing?
We can actually provide it, is the answer. And it's not that hard to do. There are a number of buildings within the county's purview that we possess as the county that are currently not being used for one reason or another that can be turned into affordable housing. It is that simple. We need to convert them and we need to give them to affordable housing along those lines. Now, there are several folks who are homeless who need a place to stay, for example. Some folks only need a short period of time in which they need housing. Others need longer periods of time. My plan would be as follows. For those who need longer-term care, I would convert county buildings into affordable housing for individuals who need it for a long period of time. For those who need it for a short period of time, there are a number of hotels that are located throughout the entire county that we can rent at a specific rate and give people a place to stay for a while, to become medicated, so that they can come back to work, so that they can have jobs. If you don't have a place to stay, how do you take your medications? I don't know if any of you have traveled, but when you do you sometimes forget your meds and go, forget it. You know, it's just too much of a bother because I'm trying to just deal with moving from place to place. The homeless have this all the time. We need to provide them a place to stay so that they can become medicated. And if they can become medicated, they can return back to work. Housing is the way to do it. We can do it with hotels, and we can do it with county buildings. Thank you very much.
You're going to be up first on this one.
I feel like I'm dancing sometimes.
What are your plans to renovate and build a new criminal court building, and B, provide protected parking fee for prosecutors?
Okay, all right, so the answer is we do need more courts. Absolutely. We need more courts because we are behind, as I've said before. And one of the ways that we can accomplish that task is to bring back retired judges and actually have them in the court system. They need a place to be. There are courts that we presently have that are not being used. Most of them are over there in the civil buildings. We can convert and change those to criminal buildings to be able to house these additional courts and speed up the process of getting people to the justice that they deserve so that we can move them out of the jail, so that we can improve the jail as a result. The parking, give me that again?
Provide protected parking for prosecutors.
Yeah. But when a prosecutor comes out of the building, there is concerns, grave concerns, that they might be attacked, mugged, whatever it is. It is not that hard to be able to put a part of the parking lot that we use that is protected with security, with sheriffs there to make sure that when you've worked your tail off trying to bring justice to this county, that you are protected and not mugged coming on the way out. It's not that hard and it's not that expensive.
Michelle, what are your plans to renovate or build a new criminal court building and provide protected parking for prosecutors?
Alright, so that's actually a very interesting question because it's not just limited to the criminal. Our family court judges actually quite often need protective protection. Sometimes our bailiff, when they're sitting in the courts, the little barrier they're sitting behind, sometimes they're not metal reinforced. Just something that simple to make sure that we are protecting everyone in the courthouse. I personally know many civil judges who have been followed out to their parking spots, who have been stalked, who have had to have the FBI come in sometimes. So I feel like the same level of protection that we give to our judges is absolutely something we need to give to our prosecutors and anybody who is going to work for our court system. When you become a lawyer, one of the things they kind of like pound into our heads is that we are officers of the court. Before we represent our clients, we represent justice. And so every single person in there, I have heard time and time and time again, and I've been a victim of this, female attorneys are being stalked. We're being stalked on the civil side. We're being stalked not necessarily by male attorneys, but pro se, people who are trying to represent themselves will sometimes, because we can't really stop them, will get on our social media, will do that. So we need to provide protection for every part of the court system. Our family court judges, our bailiffs, even, I haven't heard of threats against court reporters, but I wouldn't doubt that they're out there. And when I go into a courtroom on the civil side, a lot of times the only women in the room are me, the judge, sometimes the bailiff, and the court reporter. We oftentimes are threatened by people, and we can go underground, but I think providing security for everybody who's part of the justice system is something that's incredibly important. And if I get on the commissioner's court, we'll actually have a majority female court, 3 people. And I think that's really important to make sure that we're looking at everyone in their terms of how they perform their jobs. Thank you.
Michelle, you're going to go first on this one. It's going to sound a lot like a question you already had, but it's from a different point of view.
Okay.
What do you believe are the top 3 priorities of the residents of Dallas County District 2?
We all love the number 3, don't we? So the top 3 priorities of the residents. I can't read minds, but I can listen to people. So I will tell you the top 3 things I hear from people a lot. Taxes. Number 1 thing I hear is property taxes. Over and over and over again, I'm scared my taxes are going up, I'm scared my taxes are going up, I'm scared my taxes are going up. So I believe the only one other than Tom, so the only one in this race who has consistently said, I'm not raising taxes. I'm not gonna futz around and say I lowered the tax rate, but then your bill's higher. If your bill is higher, it's a tax increase. I firmly believe that. So I wanna make sure that we are looking at taxes. A number 2 thing I tend to hear from people is crime. They're very worried. We've seen after the storm, I think it was called Uri, after the freezes, when so many people were displaced from their homes because pipes burst and whatnot, that their houses got robbed. My neighbor, his safe, his wall safe, they took